Hey, this is Polly from thefitmumformula.com, and today I'm going to give you some alternatives to dairy products, because some people prefer not to eat dairy things either because they don't like them or they just disagree with it, like, you know, they disagree with your tummy or whatever, or you've got an allergy, whatever your reasons. If you don't want to eat dairy products, that's fine. There are loads of different alternatives out there, so I'm going to go through some of them. And the first one I want to talk about is soy, because you can get soy everything. That's why I want to talk about that one. You can get soy yogurt, soy milk, soy cheese, soy every different type of cheese as well. There's soy everything. Now, if you don't have like a definite problem with soy, you don't know it's a problem for you, then I'd say soy's okay in small amounts, but the thing is, there is a little bit of research out there, and it's debated, but there is some evidence to say that too much soy can negatively impact your thyroid and your hormones, and also a lot of it is genetically modified and very sprayed with pesticides as well. So that's another reason I'm not very keen on soy products. Personally, I can't eat them at all. I get very, very bloated and gassy if I eat any soy products at all, in any form, not just like the dairy alternatives. So I don't like them. But for anyone else, I just say don't have too much of them. Know how they work if you don't have too much of them. So what else can you have? Well, first of all, I'll talk about the just alternatives for swaps you can make in meals, but also from a nutritional point of view as well. So for milk, there's loads of different milks out there. This is my favourite, unsweetened almond milk. There's quite a few variations similar to this around at the moment to have, like on tea, coffee, that sort of thing, in smoothies and stuff. You can get, there's a coconut one, which is alright. I think the taste is a bit weird, but each to their own. This is my favourite. There are other nut ones as well. I think you can get cashew, hazelnut, and there's different brands as well. What I would say is just try and choose the unsweetened ones, because a lot of them add sugar in to try and make them more palatable, but obviously that's not a great thing to be having extra sugar. So if you can choose the unsweetened ones, I said this is my favourite. Right, for cream as an alternative, the closest thing you'll find, again you can get soy cream of course, the closest thing you'll find is coconut milk, or reduced fat coconut milk alternatively as a lower fat, low calorie one. Now there's nothing wrong with fat, fat's great, saturated fat even in coconut milk, that's absolutely fine, but it's very high calorie, so if you're going to be having a lot of it, you're going to be having to have fewer calories elsewhere, you're going to have less food overall, so you might find that you're overshooting calories without filling up too much. So I would say, well personally I like to save tinned coconut milk for things like when I'm cooking, like curries, that kind of stuff. It works really well in, and that's what it's actually traditionally used in anyway. Butter, you can obviously use any oil that isn't dairy. If it's just that you can't digest lactose too well, you might be okay with ghee, because ghee has had the milk proteins taken out of it, so it's like purified butter. But if you're very sensitive, then you won't be able to have that either. But you could give that a go if it's a sensitivity. That's obviously, sorry, my cat trying to jump off the window there. That's obviously just like, it is real butter, it's just had the milk solids removed. Right, yogurts. You can get coconut milk yogurts these days. Now, Koyo, the first brand to do it, they're very thick and creamy ones, quite high fat ones. So, the taste is okay. They're more like a pudding than a yogurt. They're quite nice and they're quite a good alternative, but they are a lot higher fat than most dairy yogurts, and so higher in calorie again. Koko, that's K-O-K-O, have just brought out a range of their yogurts, and they, taste-wise, are really close to just regular yogurt. If you like the taste of yogurt, I love the natural one. It's really, really nice, and also it's a lot lower calorie. It's closer to the calories of regular yogurt as well. The difference is with coconut alternatives to dairy alternatives is even if they're very similar calories, those calories are coming from fat rather than protein, and I'm going to go into that again in a minute. Okay, so the only one thing I can't find an alternative for is my favourite, this really, really thick Greek yogurt that I love. So I do have the occasional pot. I'm not too bad with dairy. I can have a little bit without causing tummy problems, so I just have the occasional pot as a treat. Okay, cheese, again, you can get soy cheese. We've already spoken about that. Something I discovered recently is this Violife brand. Now, it's a vegan cheese, and when I picked it up, I just happened to be in a health food store, and I needed some parmesan for a recipe, but I saw they had a parmesan alternative, and I thought, I bet it's just full of like artificial junk trying to recreate cheese. That's on the back, actually. Water, coconut oil, modified starch, that's basically kind of brown, it could be potato, it could be cornstarch, salt, vegan flavours, it doesn't say artificial or natural, it just says flavours, but it's only going to be a small amount, olive extract, vitamin B12. So that's pretty natural, and you know what, it's really, really tasty. This is the original one, which I haven't opened it yet, but I think it's supposed to be a bit like cheddar. But they do a parmesan one, they do a few different like varieties, mozzarella and stuff as well. So that's a brand trying to worth seeking out. They do it in Tesco's, they do it in health food stores, some of them. So that's one. Again, the calories are really similar to regular cheese, but whereas dairy cheese has protein in it, most of the calories in this come from fat. There's very little carbohydrates, there's very little protein. So that brings me on to protein, because that is why a lot of my recipes or the cookbooks and things, I do often talk about things like Greek yogurt and cottage cheese and stuff, because the reason I advocate protein is, by now, if you follow me, you'll know that I say it's really filling, it helps fill you up, helps stop you overeating elsewhere, and it helps preserve muscle mass as well. That's why when you say you want to look toned, it means you want to be able to see like the shapes of your muscles and things. So you need enough protein along with your resistance exercise to do that. So that's why protein is really important. So that's where some of these dairy alternatives fall down. But if it's just dairy that's a problem for you and you don't want to eat dairy, there are so many other different types of protein out there. You can have eggs, fish, meat and poultry, protein powders, and there's all different ones as well. Again, if you don't want a casein or a whey, which are from milk, then there's all sorts of vegan type proteins, pea, rice, hemp, all sorts as well. There's protein in nuts. There's a lot of fat as well, but there is protein. There's protein in lentils and pulses, chickpeas and legumes. Again, there's quite a lot of carbohydrate in those, but there is protein. There are some things called complete proteins, which is not something I'm going to go into in detail here. I've done another video on that, and I'll link that below. But there are, quinoa is one of them, hemp is another, and these are things like that are very good for vegans because they've got all the right amino acids in. So basically, if it's a case of not being able to tolerate dairy or not wanting to eat dairy, there are lots of alternatives out there that you can use like for like. You can have this stuff in your tea and coffee, you know, and in terms of nutritionally, it just means you've got to get protein from elsewhere, and don't worry about calcium either. There's calcium in leafy greens, there's calcium in bony fish, there's calcium elsewhere as well. So don't worry too much about that. There's loads of different options out there. I've talked about some of the main ones that I like today. I hope that's really helpful for you. Please like, comment and subscribe to these videos on YouTube. And thanks very much. That's Polly from thefitmumformula.com.